Dave Helman, you said something on Friday's show. You correlated Aaron Rodgers to Michael Myers.
Yep.
Just when you think you got him dead, he shows you life. So now I got to come back to you. Was this a good Packers win or a bad Cowboys loss?
So the thing about horror movies is, like, Michael Myers keeps coming because the people running from him are stupid. You know, like, they don't get in the car. They don't run fast enough. They don't go back and make sure that he's dead. That's exactly what the Cowboys did. They were stupid. It was all credit to the Packers, but this is a terrible Cowboys loss, man. Like, whichever way you want to slice it, literally, just like a horror movie, the Cowboys had so many opportunities to put this thing away. 7-0 lead. They get a takeaway in the red zone. They got a chance to go up multiple possessions. Dak Prescott throws a pick in the end zone. Later on in the game, their offense gets its act together. They go up 28-14 in the fourth quarter. Shouts out to our friends at Fox, a wonderful stat from the game crew. 195-0 as an organization, the Dallas Cowboys, when they have a 14-point lead going into the fourth quarter. How can you slice that any way but as a bad loss? I flew back overnight. I'm exhausted. I don't know if I'm as tired as the Dallas defense, giving up 207 yards on the ground. They are allowing 175 rushing yards as a defense over the last 4 games. It's bad football. It's a bad loss.
It was a great win, Dave Helman.
No.
It was a great win. Why? Because Dak Prescott got outplayed by Aaron Rodgers. Aaron Rodgers played his best game of the season. Matt LaFleur coached his best game of the season. Aaron Jones had his best game of the season. So when I'm looking at the Packers having a whole bunch of bests, I'm not looking at the Cowboys. Yo, this was all about the Green Bay Packers. Aaron Rodgers, 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. He had 6 incompletions, 2 of which were drops. So truly he had 4 incompletions if you want to put it on Aaron Rodgers, and 3 touchdown passes. Aaron Jones, 100-plus, 130-plus yards rushing. Matt LaFleur, he realized, wait a second, the Cowboys gave up a bunch of yards a week before against the Chicago Bears because their edge defenders are terrible. I challenge you at home, go back and rewatch the game. First 3 plays of the game, the Packers said, wait a second, Cowboys, you have no edge defense. I'm going to come to that the entirety of the game. Matt LaFleur coached his best game. Rodgers played his best game. Watson had his best game. Jones had his best game. That's all about the Packers, big dog. Cowboys made some mistakes. We'll talk about Dak's mistakes later. Shady will do more talking than anybody else. But the Packers did they thing. Joy Taylor.
I think it's a good Packers win. Now, I wasn't going as far as Dave on Friday, but I kind of like soft endorse that you should be a little weary of a desperate team, which the Packers are. And not only are they a desperate team going into this game, they do have a first ballot Hall of Famer on the field. So just give them his respect. Now, I still expected the Cowboys to win. I still picked them to win. But that makes this a good Packers win because it wasn't like the Cowboys didn't put up numbers. It wasn't like the Cowboys answered what the Packers did. Like this was a battle. Yeah. And the Packers did what they haven't done all season long. Score points and answer. Run the ball. Connect with young receivers. So for all those reasons, while the Cowboys fell short in those spaces that you mentioned, to me, I think you have to give the Packers credit. They lost 5 in a row going into this game.
Yeah, exactly. They lost 5 in a row. They hadn't scored more than 22. All in that entire stretch. They scored 31. They scored 28 in regulation. That's more than they'd scored all year, which, like, all credit to Aaron Rodgers. Christian Watson? Like, that's what's going to happen, Cowboys? That's what's going to happen. A guy who had 88 yards on the year goes for 103.
But don't you have
And that's like, I'm not trying to dog Christian Watson. It's awesome.
Fair.
He had a coming out party that's cool for him, but...
Right. You don't want to be the team.
You don't want to be the team that lets Christian Watson go off. Come on.
Also, I still think that that's a credit to the Packers and to him. Like, maybe young receivers need a little time to develop. Maybe they need a little bit more love and to get comfortable with the speed of the game, to get the touch, maybe all those things. And obviously, as you mentioned, the Cowboys maybe allowed him to do that. But I think you got to give the Packers some credit here.
Shady,
put it all in the Cowboys.
Good Packers win, bad Cowboys loss. Your smile says a lot.
It's always a great Monday.
Talk your talk.
Cowboys loss.
Talk your talk, buddy.
You know, like everybody's, this and that and the third. Okay, let's just talk about it. It's a bad loss for the Cowboys. Now, first of all, a desperate team. 5 losses in a row for the Green Bay Packers. They're not a good team. I don't care about this win. They're not a good team. And the reason why is because about the game was a bad loss for the Cowboys. The reason why is because, first of all, Dak Prescott didn't play well, right? He's giving picks away.
Giving them away.
Before or Friday, we talked about how he was a top 10 quarterback?
You said that. I didn't say it.
Oh, yeah, he said that.
Said it.
You still believe that?
I've said it many times.
He said
Do you still believe that?
I'm not going to let one game change my opinion.
Oh, you know, okay,
He's still a good player.
Fine, all right.
Still a good player.
When I watch this Cowboys team, they're not that good against the run.
They're terrible.
I look at the stats and I see it, but then when I really watch it, the eyeball test, they couldn't stop a nosebleed
Not one.
in the Mike Tyson fight. They couldn't stop it. The whole game, running. This is the most conservative Packers offense I've ever seen. In the Aaron Rodgers era and in Brett Favre era. In 3 quarters, he had like 11 passes. That's crazy. All I'm going to say is this, right? Because I don't want to get to an Eagle segment, but if you think that these Cowboys that you talk about every week is going to beat my Eagles that can't stop the run, right? Aaron Rodgers, they ran the ball. Aaron Rodgers didn't even really beat him. He didn't really beat him. They ran the ball all game, and they took a shot deep to Watson, right? And they converted a couple of third downs. That's poor football, man. Eagles gonna blow them boys out.
I'm not going to try
blow them boys
to.
out.
I'm not going to try to speak.
You bet not
On the Cowboys
just
right
take
now.
it.
Look,
sometimes you just gotta take it.
Micah Parsons said something really interesting
What'd he say?
in the locker
What'd he
room.
say?
He talked. He was like, "We got a fire on defense, like a fire in the house that we got to put out.
Yep.
They can't stop the run." And he said something even more interesting than that. Micah was like, "Until everybody kind of stops doing their own thing and gets on the same page and plays their gap." Kind of, I mean, in my mind, taking a little bit of a shot at the defense. Not anybody in particular, but just saying like, "Hey, we got too many people freelancing, too many people trying to make big plays, not enough team defense," and it shows.
You know, and speaking of Micah,
200 rushing yards in one game.
now Micah, he's Harrisburg guy. He's my boy. I'm from Harrisburg. I gotta do my job.
Do your job.
I gotta do my job. Him was talking about staying in their own lanes and all that, and staying in the gaps. They did a bad job because they had him as a stand-up backer.
Yep.
He can't play that.
Not as well as he can rush.
He cannot play that. They didn't put him on the end. Because him on the end is way dangerous than him in the box. And he didn't look good in the box.
Speaking of dangerous, let's talk about the most dangerous decision Mike McCarthy made all day. It was 4th and 4. Some say 4th and 3, but if it was 3, it was 4th and a long 3. Overtime. Gotta have it. I believe it would have been a 54-yard field goal if the Cowboys choose to attempt a field goal. They got the ball first in overtime, marched down the field. Things were going their way. A couple bad or at least questionable calls, and now it's 4th and 4. Mike McCarthy chooses to go for it, keeping Dak Prescott on the field. Dave Helman, good decision, bad decision. You like the decision, you hate the decision.
I love the decision. I honestly loved it. Hey, look, context matters here, okay? First quarter, driving the same direction. The Packers are on the same yard line. They give Mason Crosby a chance to kick. He biffs it to a degree that you don't see in the NFL. Like, it hit down on the end zone turf, like 10 yards wide of the goalpost. It's 26 degrees by the time that game got to overtime last night. You're talking about a 54-yard field goal. Brett Maher's had a nice season. But we're not talking about Justin Tucker here, like a guy that you just have absolute faith in. And again, this is Aaron Rodgers. I was sitting in the press box. I was saying to myself, if you give him the ball, he's going to win. If you give him the ball, he's going to win. So I admire the idea of not giving him the ball. The thing I don't like is if they were going to go for it on 4th, they should have run it on 3rd. They passed on 3rd. CeeDee Lamb didn't draw the pass interference call. They should have run the ball. They ran the ball well in their own right. Tony Pollard could have at least gotten 2 or 3, set you up for a 4th and manageable. I didn't like the 3rd down call, but I liked the decision to go for it.
I hated it. I hated the decision.
I loved it.
But here's why I hated it. Dak, to me, hasn't earned the right to go for it on 4th and 4. Monetarily, he has. But as soon as I saw Dak Prescott jogging back out there, remaining out there for 4th and 4, I was like, oh, y'all not going to get this. Like, I don't have enough confidence in Dak Prescott with the game on the line to convert in that moment. Aaron Rodgers, sure. Tom Brady, absolutely. Patrick Mahomes, duh. But Dak Prescott, you're going to put the game in his hands when he's made 2 or at least 1 bonehead decision in the red zone earlier on in that day. Furthermore, 3rd down, 4th down completion percentage. It hasn't been worse since 2011 than Dak Prescott this year. Tim Tebow in 2011 is the...
Not Timmy.
Timmy. Our guy.
And y'all think this guy's so good.
Tim Tebow in 2011,
that
the
stat.
3rd down and 4th down completion percentage. But disregard the completion percentage. I was just thinking about Dak the course of his career. I was like, no, he has not earned the right to go for it. Now Mike McCarthy's throwing his headset down. Joy Taylor, you have your headset on. What do you think about the decision?
This was 4th and 4, right? Like 4 yards.
All of them.
Was it 4th
Correct.
and 4 inches or 4 yards?
Yards.
4
I'm
yards.
not great at math. It's not my thing. But 4 yards?
Yards.
That's a long conversion.
About 12 feet.
But we were talking about this was like all you had to do was fall forward or something. They still would have had to have an amazing play to convert this. There's only one version of this call that can lead to points. That's kicking a field goal. If you don't make the field goal, Aaron Rodgers gets us in the same place anyway. If you make the field goal, now Aaron Rodgers has to go down and score a touchdown, which he didn't do. He went down and scored a field goal because that's all he had to do to win the game.
But they would have scored a touchdown.
We don't know that.
They got to like the 6-yard line. He had that nice little slant to Alan Lazard.
All we know is how it played out, and how it played out was this.
I know what would have happened.
Sure.
I've watched enough of these.
And when they got it back, I'm with you. I was like, well, this game is over. However, because they don't need to do anything. Now they just have to get into field goal range. That's all they have to do now. So you relieved not only a lot of pressure and stress on Aaron Rodgers and that team, because now all they have to do is get a field goal because it's overtime. They don't have to go beat you. This was a long conversion. Like, we're not talking about this like this was a simple, easy call to make. Hey, just fall forward and we keep driving. You got to make an amazing play, 4th and 4 in overtime.
But that's where my beef lies. They did this earlier in the game.
And
they did this in the first half. The Cowboys got to 3rd and manageable. They ran the ball. They set up like a 4th and inches, and Dak sneaked.
That's different.
Run a better play on 3rd down.
Okay, but they didn't. They ran a bad play. So now you have to make a different decision because you chose to do that on 3rd down. We can't go back and reverse that play. So now you're in a situation, you made a poor choice on 3rd down, make the right choice on 4th down. You can't harken back to that. That's why I keep asking, what are we talking about? This is 4th and 4 yards. That's a long conversion. In any point in the game, that's a big-time conversion. That's something that you put in the highlights.
She has a point.
I need your thoughts.
To me, last part, to me, this was why people come for McCarthy. Like, people don't give McCarthy credit for how well the season has gone up until this point.
Right.
But they are going to come at him for this. And my issue with McCarthy is always situational.
2-5, take us home.
You know what? I got to agree with this guy. I love the call. I love it just because of my own personal reasons. Mike McCarthy come back home, right? Trying to make a statement, trying to make a win, walk-off touchdown. I did the same thing. Philadelphia, they traded me to Buffalo. Come back home. Coach, we going for it.
Subscribe here to get the latest from Speak, and go watch a few segments from our other shows on FS1.